Welcome to the June 30th, 2020 edition of Within Reach. Today I have the opportunity of speaking with Frank Puhl, who is our director for the Africa region. Frank has so much experience in that area of the world and such a long love and investment there. And we'd like to hear from Frank as to how the region is responding to the current coronavirus pandemic. And so thank you, Frank, for joining us on the call today. How is Encompass assisting our partners during the COVID-19 crisis?
Yeah, thank you for asking. We are praying. Certainly, we are in contact with Charis church presidents, other leaders, employees, friends, and our remaining staff. We want to encourage, we want to listen, we want to intervene where necessary and possible. We have actually good partners and friends in 4 countries of Africa. These leaders love Christ and are engaged in finding answers concerning the crisis. We, through phone, Skype, WhatsApp, and other means, we call. We want to find out how they're doing, and we want to just be an encouragement and possible to give moral support.
So you mentioned 4 countries, and those, of course, would be the Central African Republic, to the north Chad, and to the west would be Nigeria and Cameroon, where the vast majority of our churches are located. How is COVID-19 influencing that region?
Yeah, it seems that the infection rate is lower than in many other countries in the world, but it does not mean there are no problems or there are no dead people. A real challenge for many is certainly the lockdown, where citizens cannot travel, cannot do business, schools are closed, universities, and so on. This means for many not having income or only having little income beside of sickness due to the virus. A severe consequence is not having the means for the essentials of life. Many are hungry, can't buy medicine or even soap. So we have a long-term relationship with these Charis churches. So this situation is a challenge for us. It is, of course, impossible to help several 100,000 people.
What would be some concrete things we have done so far to provide assistance?
By God's grace, Encompass Crisis Response Network has already sent funding to Chad due to a flood some months ago. African leaders at the time have decided to give out this grain in May and June, when it will be very hard to get food for a reasonable price. Due to ongoing rebel activities in CAR, which has created famine in some regions too, funds were already sent out earlier, which allowed getting some help right on time. We have also sent funds for Nigeria. We have 7 churches there and over 20 points of light. These funds are mostly used to help widows and orphans. Our hand-in-hand project in CR has given out buckets and soap to different schools we are partnering with. As the offering is down, we are assisting church presidents to be able to have communication means, to be able to talk to each other and to other leaders. So it's also very encouraging for leaders when they got personal calls, like from Dave Guiles or from you and different missionaries or international friends.
Well, I trust that you are communicating to them our deep concern, our prayer, and of course our love for them during this crisis and beyond. How do you see our national partners leading the way in answering to this crisis?
Yeah, some have created advisory boards composed by medical personnel, economists, other specialists, together with some pastors. They are trying to find solutions to these burning problems. Church members, for example, have sewing masks. Some have gone into the bush and the villages to give out masks and give advice. And we have also seen the importance of being spiritually well equipped. As mentioned before, in some countries, churches were or are still closed, and in others only small numbers of Christians can meet. But the challenge is everywhere the same. How can a household, a Christian or a Christian family spiritually be blessed when there is no physical Sunday morning church service and no fellowship? Many have no access to the internet to see church services and cannot communicate via Zoom like in the Western world. But knowing God's word is certainly helpful to be able to be strengthened or encouraged at home together with the family. So Encompass has trained in the past many in the area of storying. The ones who know how to tell Bible stories, know them by heart, can profit much, especially when there is no Bible in their own language available or reading is not their first means to learn. Helpful are also radio messages. Some of our partners are gifted speakers who bring God's word into a much worried society. It is necessary to be encouraged and challenged by God, who is alive and present also in the moment of crisis. Our remaining staff is also visiting friends, share Christ and comfort where possible.
Wow. Well, you have covered so much territory and I think given us great information. For many of us, we are familiar with the scope of the work there in the region, but there might be some new people listening to the video today. We are talking literally thousands of churches scattered among 4 countries in a reality radically different than we are living here in the U.S. or you are living as you're based out of Germany. And this helps us to gain some insight into the unique challenges that they're facing. But I think we want to get really practical here as well today. Are there concrete ways that we can continue to respond that would be an encouragement to our churches in the central region of Africa?
Yes. Please continue to pray. This crisis creates also opportunities which can be used. There can be much fruit. This fruit is connected to prayers, so that our friends and partners can see the opportunities to be able then to share Christ, to give the message of hope. So prayer, but of course, giving is still needed so we can respond to crisis, especially now when the economy is still not functioning well, where our brothers and sisters have to tighten their belt and are suffering.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Frank, for giving us that update. And I trust that this has been both an encouragement to you to hear how our brothers and sisters in Africa are seeking to respond, but also a challenge. As Frank shared with us, there is a very specific way in which we can assist through prayer. And he's also mentioned that through financial giving, as we continue to provide grants, strategic grants, putting these funds into the hands of key and trusted leaders there to be able to assist where possible in that region of the world. So thanks so much for joining us for this special edition of Within Reach. And we look forward over the next few months to continue to update you on how our staff and partners are responding to the crisis in other parts of the world.